Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, dear Mark Donfit, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here, and I listen very sensitive to the last conversation about human rights, because I just finished a panel discussion at the CSR conference from the German Labor Ministry, and I was part of the panel concerning human rights, the Ruggie report, and all what will be the consequences for us as companies, but also in the relationship to public sector. I will now, in the next, let's say, 25-30 minutes, give you some ideas concerning cultural diplomacy. I think there is a strong link between the understanding of cultural diplomacy and also our understanding of responsibility, our practicing of our corporate values, and so I will only give you some ideas, and please don't hesitate to interrupt me, ask your question whenever you may think it is necessary to ask it. I will give only some aspects understanding cultural diplomacy. I will give you some ideas about Volkswagen Group as a global player, our understanding of, as mentioned, corporate policy, of our corporate policy, and will show you some projects. In my understanding, this is a kind of practicing cultural diplomacy, but we can discuss it. Understanding cultural diplomacy, I find a very practical, very pragmatic definition from Milton Cummings: the exchange of ideas, informations, values, systems, traditions, beliefs, and other aspects of culture with intention to fostering mutual understanding. I think everybody of us can agree with this definition because it's so general and we can find all these things. But I think also there is a very important issue, because the understanding of different cultures, the understanding of different mentalities, the understanding of different values and traditions, this is what we need as a global player in our daily work. And if we didn't understand these different cultures, if we didn't understand these different mentalities, it could be, let's say, in the word of an economist, it could be very expensive for us when we make mistakes in the whole world, in misunderstanding these different cultures, misunderstanding our customers, misunderstanding our employees, and all these things. So I will bring you some ideas from our perspective, how we try to understand these different cultures, how we try to understand these different traditions and make use of it. First, some facts and figures concerning our group. Most of you will know Volkswagen Group is one of the leading automotive companies. We had already a very successful year 2010, and I can tell you the year 2011 will also be very successful, and we will running some records. But we know also there are now some shadows of the economic development for the next year, so we expect some more harder times for the next year. But we have already this year sold more than 8 million vehicles. We have earned a little bit more money, and we are now more than 500,000 employees around the world, because somebody of you may know we had an acquisition from lorry company MAN, and we have now more than 62 production plants worldwide, and the Volkswagen Group sells its vehicles in more than 150 countries. Therefore, you can understand how necessary really cultural understanding is for a company like ours. And also, it's not only the idea of the employees. You have to take into your account, for example, you have now, let's say, more than 500,000 directly employees for the Volkswagen Group. But when you imagine if you have, let's say, 1.5, nearly 2 million also employees working for our suppliers, and when you say then all of this employee has a family, let's say with 2 or 3 heads, then you can see we are more or less responsible for more than 8 billion people. And I think this means really daily to be responsible for 8 billion people. Give the right salaries, give the right ideas, give social standards, give environmental standards, give understanding of all these things, give understanding for the child, for good education and all these things. So I think it's very important to take into your account that it's not only to make business day by day, but also to have a deep cultural understanding of this whole world working in a way I will try to show you. Our production network is, as you can see, worldwide with a lot of sites in all parts of the world, Europe, but also in Asia, South Africa, South America, North America, and so on. We have group values, and I think that is necessary. On the one hand, the deep understanding of the different traditions in countries like Brazil and South America, like countries South Africa or India, but we have also an understanding of corporate culture of our group, and we are many people in many different countries around the globe, as mentioned, and the group values describe what units all of our employees, regardless of their different cultural background and customs, when working for this company. The group values reflect a valid common understanding of our corporate culture, and we have defined 7 of these values: closeness to the customer, top performance, creation of value, ability to innovate. I think that's traditional business-driven values, but also respect, very important, responsibility, and sustainability. And how we try to achieve our corporate management, our sustainability goals. I don't want to go in detail, but you can see there is a strong link between different departments, between, let's say, our traditional business departments, but also departments who are responsible for compliance, responsible for organizing, for example, avoidance of corruption or misunderstanding of regularities in the different countries. So we have a very strong system with our code of conduct, I will show you later, to avoid these conflicts. And we have also installed a strong risk management and internal control system. But also we do, besides these more monitoring systems, we have strong emphasis in terms of sustainability with our ecological goals, with our social goals, for example, to have the idea to become the most attractive employer, because you all may know, especially the young people in the audit, and I see there are many of them, you have the great chance for the future that you can select how and where you will start your career, and we have to fight to get the best of you, to get the best talents of you for our company, because you may know, especially in Europe, we are facing tremendous demographic change, and therefore it's necessary to be very attractive for the young people and to understand these young people, and therefore we have installed a lot of programs to make our company, to make our departments very attractive for those young talents. And we have also running a lot of projects in terms of traditional understanding of corporate citizenship, and I will show you there some of these examples, because I think these are obviously signs of our understanding of cultural diplomacy. We are not in an isolated world. We have facing a lot of ideas, a lot of expectations of different stakeholders, our employees, the capital market, politicians and authorities, the whole society, and so on. And all these means that there is really a rising complexity for my small department, but all for the other departments, because you can imagine that especially for a company like ours, there are a lot of expectations concerning our social standards, our environmental standards, the quality of our apprenticeship, and all the other things closely linked by. I will only give some ideas of the understanding of these stakeholders, and for me, to say it a little bit provocative, for me a very short definition of cultural diplomacy is understanding the stakeholder. And I will only give some of the examples concerning our employees, the civil society, political bodies, and the customers, to try to explain how we make use of the ideas of cultural diplomacy, how we understand to be interlinked with this great idea. First of all, I already mentioned, it is very necessary that we have a kind of understanding, of common understanding, and this common understanding is on the one hand that we have common group values as mentioned, but also that we have a code of conduct which is very high level, that it's signed by our CEO and also the chief of our corporate works council. This is very important for the understanding of the corporate culture of Volkswagen, that we have there a very strong tradition in cooperation, let's say in a kind of co-determination between the management, the board of management on the one hand, and also the work of the works council. And this is sometimes very interesting to try to understand, to bring this, let's say, culture of co-determination from the source in Germany into the other countries in the world, because you may understand that you have completely different corporate cultures in thinking about management, let's say in the United States, but also in Asia or in other countries. So it is so important to find how we can, on the one hand, organize it in a way that we think we are very successful in the past, but also in the present and hopefully in the future. And this understanding of our kind of corporate culture bring into these other countries without ignoring the specific traditions in these countries. So we have to find there out always a very sensitive balance in these ways. And I can say hopefully, and I have shown you some of the figures, we are running in a very successful way, but I can tell you it is sometimes a very sensitive work to find out always this right balance in the day-to-day working. And therefore it's necessary also not only to have these ideas, but also to have, let's say, a kind of written documents where all these regularities are written down. We have, as I mentioned, corporate culture. It is important for us, for example, that we signed an agreement between our board management and our works council in terms of founding not only a German works council, but also a European works council, and then we found a global works council, and we signed a social charter. This social charter is more or less the same ideas, and you may know the ILO convention, and it is written down there, the standard concerning the child labor and forced labor, but also concerning wages and the freedom of association, very important around the world. And after good success with this social charter, we also have an understanding of a charter of labor relations, and this is the idea to fostering the rights of the employees inside our company. For example, there is very different written down regularities concerning the rights of information, the rights of consultation and the rights of co-determination. And you have there write down what means right of information concerning working conditions, concerning other things, but also the right of co-determination concerning, let's say, wage negotiations, but also in terms of environmental standards and so on. This is, I think, the heart of the corporate culture of Volkswagen, and it's very important we have such a strong corporate culture, and I think this is one of the reasons to have also then the international success as mentioned. This is only a very small selection of ideas that we are not only working on CSR issues, on sustainability issues, but we bring also these very different reports. And for me, as a responsible for these CSR reports, it's very fascinating to see, so to speak, every day how different is the world running in the activities of Volkswagen. And we report not only in Germany, but we have also to report in South Africa, let's say, in different brands, in America, but also you can see there, I think it's Spain, it's Mexico, and so on. So what I will show you with this slide is that the idea of CSR, the idea of sustainability, is not only the idea of the Middle European thinking, let's say, or the thinking of our German sides. It's really an international thinking, and for me it's very interesting to see how we can work together with this 500,000 employees, with these different cultures in terms of CSR, with very different projects in this field, and I will show you some of these examples in the second part of my presentation. We are running these projects, as mentioned, worldwide with very different issues. Oh, sorry, sir. I think you missed the countries. It's a completely different picture than here. There must be a mistake in the computer. You have to imagine that this is a world card. And you see this is South America, this is North America, this is Europe, this is South Africa, and this is Asia. So sorry for that. I see it's fantastic here. It's a world card and it works very well, and it's a fantastic slide, but unfortunately we missed some of the information during this. But now you can imagine how where the continents are there. And we are now running in terms of regional development, but also environmental protection projects like biodiversity, art and culture, and all these projects. And it's fascinating to see they are very specific. They have to find out and to pick up the ideas of the culture of these countries, of this local environment, and to bring it into our corporate values, and that you can then develop a kind of, on the one hand, information platform, but also, let's say, a kind of learning platform. For example, my colleagues in these different regions, in these different brands, there will be about 40, 45 employees in our group, and we organize a meeting, a physical meeting once a year, but we have a strong exchange also by electronic media. But it's fascinating to see how it works at local level with these projects and how we can organize this in a kind of learning from each other. And you may imagine it's absolutely not our thinking, and it's also unfeasible to try to steer, to manage the ideas from a central, let's say in Wolfsburg or in our headquarters. It is very important to accept that this is very decentralized. This is really the idea of local activities, and therefore we are very pleased to see how active, how creative all our locations work in this field. I give you only some small examples in this field, and the great idea is help for the self-help, and therefore I think it's also necessary to say we are running these projects and we are supporting these projects not in the idea because we are very high motivated, let's say, philanthropists, well, we are thinking in this way, but I think most reason for success is to find the right understanding of these projects in a way that on the one hand, the local environment, the region, the people in this region benefit from these projects, but also the company have to benefit from this. If there is not a so-called win-to-win situation, then it doesn't work for a long time. Therefore, it's very interesting, and we have to define all these projects in a way that we say one reason to create a project, to find a project, is to address a social problem, healthcare, education, support of cultural institutions, and so on. And the other thing is this must be a part of our corporate strategy. It must be a benefit for us. And therefore, we are running a lot of projects showing in these pictures, for example. And we have a long tradition, especially in South Africa. We have there, and this is very helpful for us, this is very productive for our policy. We have there a corporate foundation called Community Trust. And we are organizing all these projects about, in a way to be involved in this community trust. And this is necessary on the one hand because then all the activities are independent from the independent in terms of the actual economic situation. So we have no ups and downs in this engagement, and we stop it in a critical year and we expand it in a more successful year. No, we have a clear expenditure for this corporate foundation, and therefore they have a solid foundation for working and running projects in the fields mentioned in this slide. And we have also corporate foundation in Brazil, also now running, I think, since it is 32 years. And I think this means we have really very deep understanding of the different culture from Brazil, from the Brazil environment. And we have there two tasks, education and social development. And over the last years, we have expectable amount there invested. And you can see more than 700,000 school children and students received support in this time. And it is a sustainable funding regardless of the result of Volkswagen do Brasil in the same way as in South Africa, as I mentioned before. One of these very interesting projects, for example, in Brazil is a water pump project. It is for us very interesting because you may imagine we are more or less a high tech firm, because it's my opinion, maybe there are controversial opinions. In my opinion, producing cars is a very high technician work. You can imagine a car has more or less 15,000 parts and more. So to organize it in a way, I think it's really high-tech working. But it's also necessary to create an environment where work, for example, this lower technique, but lower technique in understanding must be very reliable, it must be very robust, and therefore we organized a way with this water pump project in Brazil, and you can see there it was a lot of people already who benefited from this project up to now, and this is one of the reasons that we have really a high reputation in countries like Brazil. And this picture shows you also that we work together with our colleagues here in a very differentiated way. We have there a lot of different materials of books, of green books for our employees, but also booklets for different customers and stakeholders. And this is only one example that you can show. Volkswagen is not only let's say, thinking in terms of German tradition, but it's really thinking in terms of the tradition, in terms of the culture of these countries where we are now active since more than 30 years. And the examples I have shown before were examples for, let's say, country-driven activities. And this is an example that we have also thematic-driven activities. For example, we have decided that biodiversity will be one of the most important upcoming themes for the world, beside climate protection, or to say it more precisely, in our understanding, climate protection and biodiversity are very closely linked challenges for human beings, for the world facing the next years. And therefore we are also active in biodiversity projects, and we have defined this in corporate policy. And I have shown you here only some examples that we are running these biodiversity projects, let's say, nearly around the world. For example, we have projects in Brazil, in Mexico, but also now in China, in Germany, and even in Japan. Another project created in Germany, but we are now trying to roll it out into our other locations, is corporate volunteering, make use of the very specific competences of our employees, but not only of our employees, but also of our retired employees, because it's very important that you make use of also the competences of them. And therefore we have a project in Germany named Pro Ehrenamt, or corporate volunteering, and there is a commitment for regional issues in the area of social, school, church, culture, sport, or nature, of environmental protection, and so on. Another project, and then I will come to the end, is accident research in China. You can imagine with the tremendous growth of transportation and cars and so on in China, you have also a tremendous increase of the fatality rate, unfortunately, and of incidents. And we have a great experience in accident research in Germany, and we have now transferred these competences in cooperation with universities, with local authorities, police and hospitals in China. And this is also a very pragmatic project, and a very typical project for us, because we are addressing a social problem in a country, in this case in China, but we have similar running projects now in Russia and in India and even in Argentina, because you may know in Argentina the fatality rate is one of the highest in the world. And therefore this combination, I think, is very important, and addressing a social problem on the one side, and to have a benefit in acting as a corporate company on the other side, because you can imagine this is also good for the reputation of our company in these markets. And for example, we have also running a special road safety education program in China, and this is very interesting when my Chinese colleagues told to me that the idea to transfer a very popular German TV spot into Chinese environment, in Chinese culture, was a very great success, and therefore you can see their cultural understanding can work very, very well when you accept these different traditions. But this is an example that it works very well, and now this education program in China is really very popular, as shown in this slide. The last picture is also the idea understanding the different culture of the customers. For example, you may know that we have Turkish population here in Germany, and the idea of ethnic marketing is that we create a special relationship to these Turkish people, and it was called Volkswagen Speaks Turkish. And we have there some marketing instruments, but very important was that we have really well-trained people in our sales houses with a bilingual background, so they can go directly in speaking with Turkish-speaking people, but they were also well-trained in Germany, and therefore we have a very good atmosphere, a very good ground for understanding in a way in Germany. And I think when you see, this is business. I don't want to misunderstand, but this is business on the one side, but when you see how critical the discussion is, especially in the last few weeks in Germany, then I think it is more than business. And I think this understanding is important. To act as a business, we do so, but also to have an understanding and cultural understanding, and therefore I think it is more than business. And I think this is very sensitive, this is very necessary. And I will end with a small film with some other ideas, and now I have the problem how we can activate this film. Maybe, no, that was too far. No, it's this, sorry. Yes, when it works, I was a little bit too...
If Yusuf could come assist us, would be great.
I think maybe I will start. It will start, yes. Okay, it will start.
Sound?
It's coming? Without sound. It doesn't matter. So
The other solution is we can try it this way. 1 second.
no problem.
Sorry, we didn't realize you had audio.
There are only some more examples of running this project.
Yusuf, could you help us? Sorry, okay, this is the master.
No, it's without sound now. But I think it's not necessary. Let's have a little bit more time for discussion. It's only the idea to show you that we are not active only in some of the countries, as I have shown you in the slides, but we are active around the world. Also fine. Okay. It's nice music. That's the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prätorius. We really appreciated that. And as I said, it was, I think, very much appreciated in particular the viewpoint from the private sector and the specific case look at how actually one major German company is dealing with the issues of corporate social responsibility and or cultural diplomacy. Very happy to take your comments and questions. Maybe we'll start in the front row since you're right here, and then we'll move right back.
Hi, my name is Niels. I'm from Denmark. This might not be your usual area of expertise, but I'm just very curious. I've noticed recently that some German car makers have started to use German in their international advertisements, at least in Denmark. Das Auto, and I think Audi has got one as well. And I saw your profit sales, so obviously you could have afforded a translator. So I was just wondering what the reasoning behind this is. Are you trying to play into some, I don't know, perception of German culture and tradition of sort of craftsmanship and quality? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I think another one, and then I can try to present as well.
Hello, Alexander Haskell, University of Zurich. Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm working my PhD on the question of transitional justice. And in this context, let's say in Argentina, as you're certainly familiar with, there is a lot of class action against especially Daimler-Benz because what they did during dictatorship. You had also in South Africa other legal action or all the debates about the role of companies supporting apartheid, which is also, I think, less VW, but other companies. And my question is, what can companies like you do to deal with the past or with the past of your own company support doing these things?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's two completely different questions, sorry. But I will try to find an answer for the last one, and then we can come to you. To work with the past means really very different understanding of this past in different countries. For example, some of you may know we have a very specific past in the German history, and you may know, or I can tell you, we were one of the first companies who have very intensive historical research about this history, and you can read it in a very large investigation. And for example, we have now, and this is very important to be aware about this past, we have now, for example, some of historical points in our company in Wolfsburg. For example, when you will visit Wolfsburg, you can also not only see there the production of the cars and sales rooms and all these things, but you can also go there in locations where we have worked with we have a special department called Historical Communication, and they are responsible for all these things, and you can go in very deep discussion with them. And for example, it's for us very important, and it's just now a fortnight ago that our CEO and our president of the Works Council accompanied 200 apprentices from our company. They go year by year to Auschwitz, how it is spelled, Auschwitz, and work there and prepare there the remembering and all these things. So we are really very sensitive concerning the work with the past, and it's not only the past 60 years, 70 years now ago, though we are acting really, for example, with our young people every year, and every year a number of these young people goes to Auschwitz and support the work in this field. So this is one of our corporate volunteering. And concerning, for example, the situation in South Africa, I say, and this is good sometimes to have really also a tradition like this. In this case, especially the German car makers, not only Volkswagen, it was also Daimler and it was also BMW, were really very, very sensitive in terms of apartheid or fight against apartheid. For example, it was allowed the freedom of association in our locations in this time, and therefore you can say the very high, and it's really very high, the very high reputation of our company and the other companies in South Africa is a result of this very honest and very fair politicians' activities during this bad history, so to speak. So, sorry, I forgot your question. Okay, I have no, to be honest, I have no direct information about this. Let's say it was a good or a bad idea from our marketing people. Are there other questions? Sorry, anything else? Oh, yeah, sorry. The microphone. Oh, I think if it works, no problem. Oh, there is another one. So, please, I think it's easy to understand. Ah, okay. Sorry.
It's working. It works. just push the button.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. My name is Ahmed and I'm from Egypt. And I work for an organization called Intercultural Youth Dialogue Association. And from your presentation, I was not liking because I only attended the last part, but I wanted to actually to ask you about, you were talking about intercultural understanding where it fits with the customers for Volkswagen or so. Haven't you thought before that, especially after the Arab revolutions in the Middle East area, to get a little bit oriented to making some projects to promote for the intercultural understanding among or between the Middle East area and the Germany and or whatever? I mean, to adopt some sort of a project among this area.
To be honest, as far as I know, up to now, not. It depends on our activities around the world, and unfortunately or fortunately, you cannot see vice versa. We are not very. We are not in a strong position in the sub-Mediterranean states and in the Arab world. We have only their market shares, let's say about 2 or 3%. So this will be an upcoming market for us. But to be honest, we are not deeply involved in these cases. We are, and I think it doesn't work. Also, to be honest, it doesn't work when we are now trying to bring it in a way after this. In my personal view, really a very progressive movement and development. But I think it is necessary for us to be really deeply involved in these countries, and I think as earlier you are in these countries, as better you understand the circumstances. Therefore, we are too late in this world, let's say in a very short way. But we were the first one, for example, in South Africa, we were the first ones in Brazil, and we were also the first one in China for now 35 years ago. And therefore, I think we have a deeply understanding of the customers, of the employees, of also the environments there, and this is one of the reasons of the success. And therefore, the thesis is right, to understand the environment, to understand the people, to understand the cultural tradition is one of the most important reasons for running success in the later time.
Hi, I'm Elliot Drake from the United States, and I'm going to tangent a little bit, but I can't help asking you, just because you're such a big member of the private sector here. What do you see as being your influence as a member of the private sector on the German government?
I think on the one hand, it's very necessary to understand there is a kind of, let's say, labor division in a democratic system. And we have on the one hand the politician sector, and on the public sector, and also the civil society as mentioned, and you have on the other side the private sector. But you have also a very interlinked system, so to speak, and therefore we have a lot of understanding of the development in the political sphere, and there is also a strong exchange between the political leaders and the corporate leaders, and therefore I think it is necessary to have these arenas for communication, and this is one side. The other thing is, as I have shown you, we are a company not so small, but you have to take into your account there are really in a democratic system also different types of working, and you shouldn't overestimate the influence of a corporate like Volkswagen about concrete political decisions. I think this is also good to have this division of work, and to have a better understanding of these spheres, I think is really good, and we should try to work to get more better understanding between these different spheres. But I think it's also necessary to have also great acceptance of the division of work.
Are there any questions?
Good afternoon. My name is Vincent. I'm from Switzerland, and actually I had the opportunity to. I had the opportunity to attend a conference given by a CSR head of CSR program in Brussels a few months ago, from one of the largest companies in the diamond production, and we're talking about the CSR problems in the supply chain actually, and not really in the company at the company scale itself, because I think that there have been a lot of improvements at the scale of the company, and there have also been a lot of improvements at the international level. You've mentioned the ILO convention, and now there is the Global Compact, the UN Global Compact, and also I think the European Parliament, who tried to include a CSR clause in the FTA, free trade agreements with countries, especially from Asia. And so I wanted to know if Volkswagen was involved in this, and how do you see the role of the private sector and the companies in this issue?
Supply chain management or supply chain sustainability management is one of the upcoming very important issues, and we have installed inside of our company project called Sustainability in Supplier Relations, and we have formulated very strong social and environmental standards. They are equal rank to our standards, and when you get as a supplier first time in contact with our company about our B2B platform, because I think we are now running more than 60 billion euros per year about this B2B platform. And when you get first in contact with us, you see our environmental and our social standards, and we expect from all our suppliers that they are doing this in the same way. But you can also imagine we have now, let's say, 50,000 suppliers. It is not easy to manage this process, but we have the idea that that our social and our environmental standards are part of these negotiations, are part of these connections, and we have also installed, let's say, a kind of a risk monitoring system, and therefore we are able to identify weaknesses in this line. And I'm personally part of a so-called ad hoc expert team where we are discussing critical issues in this field. And our philosophy is not to let's say, to punish our suppliers, but to offer help. Because I think it's necessary. Most of our suppliers come, let's say, for example, in our locations of India, from India, and they are part of the economic development, of the economic impulses in this environment, and therefore it doesn't make sense to show them, let's say, the red card, but it's necessary to offer help for them. This is our understanding, but nevertheless, there are no compromises in our social and our ecological standards.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us please take this opportunity to express our gratitude to Dr. Gerhard Prätorius. Thank you.
Thank you.